A jury that convicted Curtis Vance of murdering KATV anchor Ann Presley is now weighing whether to impose the death penalty. UALR Bowen School of Law professor Felecia Epps joins us now to give some insight into the trial, what happened, and what could be next. Now, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
You're welcome.
Talking about this right now, the conviction that was handed down yesterday, jury deliberated just more than 2 hours, 15 minutes. In a capital murder case like this, is that a surprisingly short deliberation time in your estimation?
Well, in my opinion, it was short, but it depends on how quickly the jury is able to move and how quickly they can consider all of the evidence that was presented. And apparently, there was much more prosecution evidence than defense evidence in this case. And taking it that they did consider everything and come to a conclusion, perhaps they're just moving a little bit more quickly here.
The prosecution didn't spend days on their case establishing the placement of Curtis Vance at the scene. Defense only spent a few hours. You were talking to me before we came out. There was strategy there?
Well, yes. If we remember back to the defense opening statement, they talked a lot about reasonable doubt. In fact, that appeared to be their theory of the case. So the way they proceeded was to try and poke holes in what the prosecution had presented to create that reasonable doubt. Remember that under our system of justice, the burden is on the state to prove every element of their offenses beyond a reasonable doubt. And so, of course, the state's case would be much longer, whereas the defense can basically sit on its hands and do nothing if it so desired. But here they worked with that reasonable doubt theory.
Now, as the sentencing phase begins or continues today, prosecutors began calling their witnesses yesterday. Curtis Vance left the courthouse and was asked if he had any statement for the Presley family. He didn't have one. Instead, he said, quote, "The system is corrupt." Could that possibly be damaging to him, as some of those jurors may have gone home, heard that was his remark? Could that be damaging come sentencing?
That whole attitude, yes, that could be. The statements that he continues to make to the press and others, I'm sure his attorneys have instructed him to keep his mouth shut about this because, quite frankly, at this point, the only thing he could say that might help him is that he is sorry or express some remorse for this offense, because now he's been convicted. The jury has concluded that he's guilty of capital murder, and to continue to point fingers at the system at this point is not going to be helpful to him.
Take us into the courtroom for today, because you were talking about showing some level of contrition, asking for some sorrow, some mercy from the jurors. That's the defense's charge today as well, isn't it?
Well, it depends. Quite frankly, in one sense, Mr. Vance may be best off to say nothing if he cannot say that. And it kind of appears that he still is maintaining his innocence. And to present to the jury, I'm still innocent after the jury has found you guilty would not really be in his best interest, I don't think. What the defense is going to focus on really is mitigating factors. You saw some of that yesterday where his family members began to come and talk about his upbringing and problems with his mother and all of those type of things to make the jury have some mercy.
All right, Felecia Epps, professor with the UALR Bowen School of Law.